One of the newest and more interesting mysteries that we'll explore in Kingdom Hearts Missing Link is the concept of bloodlines as it relates to the Kingdom Hearts world. And while there hasn't been a lot of emphasis placed on bloodlines in the Kingdom Hearts series so far, it'll be interesting to see just how our current Keyblade wielders descended from Missing Link societal classes. But could there also be an unknown significance to a Keyblade wielder's bloodline that may become relevant again in the Lost Master arc? Welcome back, y'all. This is your girl Empowered Muse, and today we're going to talk about potential bloodlines in Kingdom Hearts Missing Link and what they could mean for our current Keyblade wielders in the Lost Master arc. So obviously this is based on very limited information that we've only seen in the Missing Link closed beta test, as well as Kingdom Hearts Union Cross and Dark Road. And so I'll likely revisit this theory once Missing Link has officially released, hopefully soon, and we get more of its story. So this was probably a bit more significant before the events of Kingdom Hearts 1, and maybe even before the events of Birth by Sleep, but it could be the case that one's bloodline determined just how that Keyblade wielder trained and who they trained with. This is probably more plausible during the era of Missing Link when people were split into two main societies of successors and non-successors, and therefore potentially having two different Keyblade masters who took in new students to train. But as time went on, it seemed that who someone's Keyblade Master was didn't seem to be determined by blood. Additionally, the number of Keyblade Masters who actively train Keyblade wielders might have reduced over time. We only saw one active master in Dark Road, which was Master Odin, who ended up retiring by the end of the story. And from Birth by Sleep to Kingdom Hearts 3, the main Keyblade Masters we saw were Master Ericus, who was struck down towards the end of Birth by Sleep by Master Xehanort, and Master Yen Sid, who was basically semi-retired. And I should also note that while Master Xehanort was in fact a Keyblade Master, he didn't really take anyone under his wing or tutelage, save for a few scenes with both Terra and Ventus on separate occasions. That said, we also now have a newer generation of Keyblade Masters who could take up the mantle to train, such as Aqua, King Mickey, and Riku, but based on the story's direction, we likely won't see too many training opportunities among these three, with the exception of Aqua training Kairi and possibly going over refreshers with Ventus. Additionally, it's clear that a Keyblade wielder's bloodline no longer really holds significance on where they go to train. At this point, it seems that it's more important to find a willing Keyblade Master who's actually available. But outside of training, I think bloodlines could show significance to Keyblade wielders when it comes to their power. And I don't think this necessarily means in terms of power levels, but rather the type of element that a Keyblade wielder most closely aligns with. For example, it seems that one of the newer characters in Missing Link, Remus, seems to have a lot of the same features that Axel or Lee has. So it would be interesting to see whether Remus ends up specializing in fire like Axel or Lee. And the same can be said for another character introduced to us in the Missing Link closed beta test, Nept, who seems to have similar features to Aqua. With Aqua seemingly specializing more in magic generally, it'll be interesting to see whether Nept will also lean more towards magic attacks if we get to see him in action in Missing Link. So I think with Missing Link and Bloodlines, we'll probably see more of what exactly this generation of Keyblade wielders specialized in when it comes to their specific powers and abilities. That said, it's tough to say whether this might be the bulk of the significance behind Bloodlines and Missing Link. While I can see this being the case where we see the way in which many of the current characters channel their main specialties, I do think there might be just a little bit more that would go into exploring Bloodlines and Missing Link. So I do see a potential significance in the inheritance of a Keyblade wielder's pull to light, as well as whether a Keyblade wielder could carry some additional abilities only spoken of in prophecy. So regarding Keyblade wielder's pull to light, there is an obvious implication when one gains the ability to summon a Keyblade, it means that their heart was strong enough to wield it. And while someone's strength of heart doesn't directly mean that their heart is completely full of light, it does implicate that their heart can withstand darkness. Whether that person ends up using darkness later on in life or not, it tends to depend on other events that may occur. And in the case of what's suspected to be Brain's lineage to Master Ericus, it seemed that Brain's actual desire and drive to fight against darkness might have passed on to Ericus, which can be observed through Ericus's feelings on light and darkness throughout his life. So this is sort of a more epigenetic feeling as opposed to a straightforward genetic result of Brain's lineage. That is because Brain likely harbored strong feelings against darkness and fought against it throughout his life. The effects of Brain's environment in Union Cross and Missing Link likely affected Ericus. This could especially be the case because we already know that Ericus was exposed to the story of his grandfather's battle against darkness with what was revealed in Dark Road, and Ericus likely knew of his grandfather's fate from that from a pretty young age. In the case of Ephemer's lineage when it comes to light, there's a chance that perhaps some of Ephemer's abilities, and therefore the abilities of his descendants, are tied to the power of light. And with that in mind, there is that question of just why it seemed that of all of the current Guardians of Light, Sora's heart was the one that appeared to resonate the most with Ephemer. Especially when you think about it, the Birth by Sleep trio was previously in the Keyblade graveyard 10 years before, but Ephemer did not make an appearance. And obviously on the story development side, it just could have been the case that Ephemer wasn't thought of just yet, but the difference in these two events still remains. But as far as Bloodlines and the legacy of prophecy, this legacy seems to be a bit more complicated in whether one's lineage really mattered when it came to what was prophesied. And as far as we know, this basically only involves Ephemer's lineage, and there could be an argument for both Xehanort and Sora. With Ephemer's legacy of prophecy for Xehanort, it's actually debatable and or probably not the case that Xehanort is the actual child of destiny as the prophecy intended. And this is because the bloodline legacy of that prophecy implied that Ephemer carries the ability to alter fate in his bloodline. However, because it's assumed that Ephemer continued to operate in light while Xehanort operated in darkness, there's already a contradiction with Xehanort being named the child of destiny and preventing light from expiring. Of course, this could still kind of apply to Xehanort since he did go about preventing light from expiring in the most roundabout way, as more of the catalyst that summoned Kingdom Hearts as opposed to fighting against darkness. In the case of Sora's relation to Ephemer's bloodline, it's actually unclear if the Child of Destiny prophecy actually meant that the person who prevented light from expiring had to be directly related to Ephemer. However, it does seem that Sora is in fact the one carrying the legacy of fulfilling the prophecy, in the sense that Ephemer set the standard and became a founder of Scala representing light, while Sora preserved light and prevented it and the overall realm of light from falling to darkness. But as far as the future implications of Bloodlines as we go further in the Kingdom Hearts series, it seems that the direct implications are pretty unlikely outside of some cool connections to our current generation of Keyblade wielders' specific abilities. And this can also be explained with the fact that the current Guardians of Light are in a way more unified because there's no existence of any separate societies that we know of. This basically implies that the purity of bloodlines and whose ancestors belong to whom might essentially be irrelevant for the current Guardians of Light and their main goals for the Lost Master arc. That said, I do think that the concept of bloodlines could indirectly affect who might eventually be targeted or approached by the Master of Masters, or maybe even some of the foretellers. This is mainly due to the fact that those Keyblade wielders who have direct bloodlines to a founder or successor from Missing Link may be seen as appearing to have stronger hearts. So overall, I think the concept of bloodlines will definitely matter for the main story of Missing Link, and there are some implications for how one's bloodline might impact their fated choice and even their abilities. But it's hard to say whether the importance of Keyblade wielder bloodlines will go any further than that, especially in the Lost Master arc. But I want to hear from you, so let me know what you think about the potential for bloodlines in the comments below. If you want to explore some more Kingdom Hearts theories, I'll be linking another Kingdom Hearts theory video here in the end screen. And as always, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this video and want to watch more Kingdom Hearts content. And if there's anyone who may have questions about what to expect for the upcoming Kingdom Hearts games, be sure to share this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.